Welcome to this video. Today I'm going to be talking about something that I think is quite obvious, but I also see that many people have not yet realised this because they have not yet sat down and thought about this. The reason that you see all these successful people, the reason they have these such profound ideas, the reason they have all these principles they live by, the reason they have this sort of what you see as wisdom, is not because they're any different to you. It's not because they're some different breed of humans. It's because they sit down and think. So, about a year and a couple... So, last May of 2024, I posted a video, and I can't exactly remember what the video was titled. But in the video I talked about how the greatest thing you can do for your productivity and your creativity and your overall life is to just sit down and think. Just think about stuff. And in that video I talked about how most people don't think. Most people never stop and just think. They just always do things, always consuming. Me too, I'm not saying I'm above this, I have the same problem. But most people don't sit down and think. And that is how, when we see people who have ideas, who have principles, who have what we see as wisdom, we think they're some genius. But in reality, they sat down and thought about things and found conclusions and came to conclusions and learnt things purely because they sat down to think about things. Let me clip the mic on real quick. For me, I know that I have personally posted well over 2,000 pieces of content. Well over. In the last under 2 years. And some of those videos, some of those pieces of content came from I saw someone else make that piece of content and it sparked an idea, or I was inspired by something, all that sort of thing, And that's probably, 10-20% of those pieces of content. The majority of those videos that I posted were because I sat down and thought, okay, what can I talk about? I sat down and thought about stuff. There was a period where for 5 weeks, from like the very end of May until early July of 2024, I didn't post a single YouTube video. And that's because I stopped thinking. I stopped sitting down and brainstorming, and I was just waiting for ideas to come to me. I wasn't spending any time trying and thinking. I was just going day by day by day without thinking, just waiting for ideas to come to me. Now yes, ideas will come to you, that's called creativity. But that will only happen if you give yourself the opportunity to think, to be creative, to be inspired. So, first of all, you will not be creative, you will not have ideas if you sit in your room all day. You must do things that can inspire you. You must go out, you must talk to the people, watch the videos, do the studying, live the life that will inspire you, that will give you those ideas. But even more importantly, you must just sit down and think. Every single day I sit down and think. This here, morning pages. I just do my morning pages. I did this maybe half an hour, maybe 45 minutes ago. I literally, at 5:40 in the morning, sat down at the kitchen table while eating my breakfast. I just sat there and thought for like 10 minutes, wrote down a bunch of ideas. Did that today, did that yesterday, that the other day, the day before. This entire journal, all of these pages are filled with ideas that I've just sat down and thought about. I just sat down and thought, that's how I come up with those ideas. You will not succeed if you cannot just sit down and think. I remember in the video that I posted last May, I called it Think Time. Sit down and just think. The rappers that you look up to, the musical artists, they sit down and they think, they brainstorm, they write their songs or their raps, whatever it is. They sit down and think about it. Now some of them freestyle, but I guarantee you every one of them sat down and thought about lyrics or a song many times. The YouTubers you look up to, they sit down and think about the concepts, the titles, the video ideas. The athletes that you look up to, they sit down and think, and they are in a flow state, and they're deep into thought about their success, about their journey, the time. They calculate things out. I know for me, I'm the type of person who will, if I have a goal, I'll just calculate out how I'm going to get to that goal every single day. I've been wanting to buy, I've been focusing on, I've wanted to buy a camera for well over a year, 2 years. But for like 2-3 months prior to me buying my camera, which is the Sony ZV-E10, Almost every single day I sat down on my phone and calculated how many hours I have to work a week, times that by the monthly, then the savings rate, how much I'd have to work and save to buy the camera. Every day for 2 months. Then this morning I calculated as well about how I could buy a different camera. I was looking at the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I was like, how long will it take to calculate it out? I did it with my MacBook. I did it with the GoPro. I did it with when I wanted to buy a new phone. All these different things. I sit down and calculate these things. I sit down and think about my goals. I sit down and brainstorm ideas. When I'm in the gym, in between sets, I'll just zone out and sit there and think for 3, 4, 5 minutes. That's the reason I spend probably an hour and a half in the gym. An hour and 15, hour and a half in the gym almost every time I go to the gym. It's not because I'm not doing reps, I'm not working out for an hour and a half. I'm probably working out for 40 minutes. The rest of the time in between sets, I'm sitting there thinking, brainstorming, writing down ideas. Maybe a little bit of, watching YouTube or changing podcasts. But most of the time I sit there and think. I sit at my desk and think. That's the biggest power I have is the ability to think. The biggest power you have is the ability to think. So, in this day and age, in 2025, most people don't ever stop and think. It's not a thing of like, should I do this, should I do that? Not like decision making. It's just just sit down and think. Brainstorming. Calculating things. Just let your brain think. People have this whole idea of overthinking. Overthinking isn't real. Overthinking is just because you either, one, are in a situation that you are not prepared for, or two, you never let yourself sit and think. So all of a sudden when those thoughts come through, you're flooded with these different thoughts, these positive, negative, random thoughts, whatever it is. I used to be the same. I used to think I was an overthinker. But I don't believe in overthinking. I just believe in letting your brain think. If you're an overthinker, sit down for an hour. No phone, nothing, no headphones. Just sit down at your desk, on a couch or outside, whatever it is. Sit down for an hour and just think. Guarantee you'll feel much better by the end of that hour. Whether you came to a conclusion, you found a solution for a problem, or you just think, well, I've thought it through, I'm screwed either way, and you're fine. If you're an overthinker, sit down and think. If you don't think and you want to be more creative, sit down and think. If you have goals you want to achieve but you don't know how to get there, sit down and think. If you want to be more productive, sit down and think. Sitting down and thinking is a solution to almost every problem. There is not much you can't solve by sitting down and thinking. And the things that you can't solve by sitting down and thinking, you'll probably feel better about the situation if you just sit down and think about it for an hour and go, well, I'm screwed either way, so that's life. Sit down and think, it'll improve your life. So thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, comment, actually just put like a timestamp. So if you go into the comments, if you click to like type a comment, the little button has like the numbers and like a square, hit that button, it'll put a timestamp. And just put that as a comment, just timestamp whatever time you're seeing this, however far into the video you made it. So that's everything for today's video. My name is Sam, if you don't already know who I am. I'm a 15-year-old entrepreneur, content creator, filmmaker, student, fitness enthusiast, all sorts of different things. If you're interested in seeing any of my other content, go ahead and check out the rest of the videos on this channel. I'm currently posting 2 videos a day, so there is no shortage of videos, both in the last couple of weeks and coming. At the moment, I've got a bunch of videos already filmed and schedule uploaded, so no shortage of videos. We're going to keep uploading. If you are interested in any vlogs, I have a vlog channel, link in the channel description. I also have another channel which I don't really post to, but also link in the channel description. And if you're interested in probably my best product, my paid school community, also link in the channel description. That is called the Future Elite. That is a community of young people who want to improve their lives, become better versions of themselves, who want to chase greatness, who want to go on a self-improvement journey, who want to ultimately become the most capable versions of themselves. So check that out if you're interested. Other than that, have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.